Welcome to Celestial Zodiac, your home for clear and grounded astrology. So far in this progressed chart series, we've explored progressed planets individually, including the progressed Moon, Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Mars. But one of the most important parts of progressed astrology is understanding what happens when progressed planets begin forming new aspects over time. Unlike your natal chart, which remains permanently fixed, progressed charts continue evolving throughout life. As planets gradually move through the progressed chart, they begin creating new relationships with your natal planets and sometimes with each other. These evolving planetary connections are called progressed aspects. Progressed aspects are often some of the most psychologically important developments in astrology because they reflect changing inner dynamics, emotional growth, evolving priorities, and new phases of personal development. Many people expect progressed aspects to behave like dramatic external events. But in reality, they usually operate more internally. They often describe periods of readiness, emotional maturation, shifting perspectives, and gradual psychological transformation rather than sudden outside circumstances. In this video, we'll explore how progressed aspects form over time, the difference between internal tension and internal harmony, why progressed aspects often signal readiness rather than events, and how progressed aspects reflect important developmental milestones throughout life. One of the most unique things about progressions is that the chart itself slowly evolves. In a natal chart, your planetary aspects remain permanently fixed. If your natal Venus squares Saturn, that aspect remains part of your chart for life. If your natal Sun trines Jupiter, that relationship also remains permanently part of your psychological makeup. If you want to learn more about your natal aspects, feel free to watch our aspect series that specifically addresses this topic. In secondary progressions, planets continue slowly moving forward over time. As they move, they begin forming entirely new aspects that did not exist in the natal chart. For example, a progressed Mercury may eventually conjunct your natal Venus. A progressed Venus may eventually square your natal Mars. A progressed Moon may eventually trine your natal Pluto. A progressed Mars may eventually oppose your natal Saturn. These aspects develop gradually over time and often reflect changing internal experiences, psychological growth, evolving priorities, and important developmental periods. Because progressed planets move slowly, these aspects usually unfold gradually rather than suddenly. Many astrologers use relatively tight orbs for progressed aspects because the closer the aspect becomes exact, the stronger the psychological influence tends to feel. Unlike transits, which often trigger external events quickly, progressed aspects tend to operate more like slow internal shifts that gradually reshape how you experience yourself and your life. One of the most important things progressed aspects reveal is the difference between internal tension and internal harmony. Some progressed aspects feel supportive and flowing, while others feel emotionally challenging or psychologically uncomfortable. But even difficult progressed aspects are usually describing internal development rather than punishment or bad luck. Supportive progressed aspects, such as trines and sextiles, often reflect periods where different parts of your personality begin working together more naturally. For example, a progressed Mercury trine natal Jupiter may increase confidence, learning, optimism, communication growth, or intellectual expansion. A progressed Venus sextile natal Moon may create greater emotional harmony, relationship ease, or emotional openness. A progressed Sun trine natal Mars may strengthen confidence, motivation, vitality, and personal direction. These periods often feel smoother internally because different parts of the personality begin cooperating more easily. More difficult progressed aspects such as squares and oppositions often reflect periods of inner tension, emotional pressure, frustration, or psychological restructuring. For example, a progressed Mars square natal Saturn may create frustration, delays, exhaustion, or pressure to develop discipline and patience. A progressed Venus opposite natal Pluto may intensify emotional relationships, attachment patterns, or deeper emotional transformation. A progressed Mercury square natal Neptune may create confusion, uncertainty, mental fog, or changing perceptions. These aspects often feel uncomfortable because they highlight areas where growth, adjustment, maturity, or emotional evolution are needed. But unlike harsh transits, challenging progressed aspects usually unfold internally over longer periods of time. They often reflect growing pains connected to psychological development. One of the most important things to understand about progressed aspects is that they often signal readiness more than concrete external events. This is one reason many people misunderstand progressions. A transit may coincide with something visibly happening in the outside world, but progressed aspects often describe the internal conditions developing underneath the surface before those outer events fully emerge. For example, a progressed Mercury aspect may reflect becoming mentally ready for a career change long before the actual transition occurs. A progressed Venus aspect may reflect emotional readiness for deeper intimacy or healthier relationships before a relationship actually appears. A progressed Mars aspect may reflect growing confidence or motivation before major action is taken externally. A progressed Sun aspect may reflect deep identity evolution before major life direction changes become visible. Progressed aspects often describe internal preparation, emotional maturity, shifting priorities, or psychological development that gradually changes how you experience life. In many cases, transits later activate what the progressed chart has already prepared internally. This is why astrologers often combine progressions, transits, and natal chart analysis together. The progressed chart shows the evolving inner landscape, while transits often trigger external circumstances connected to those internal changes. Progressed aspects are often best understood as developmental milestones rather than isolated events. Each progressed aspect reflects a new phase of psychological growth and personal evolution. Some aspects coincide with emotional maturation, changing priorities, evolving relationship patterns, greater self-awareness, new ambitions, changing communication styles, spiritual growth, or deeper understanding of yourself. These changes may unfold so gradually that you only fully recognize them in hindsight. For example, someone going through a progressed Sun conjunction natal Saturn may slowly become more disciplined, serious, responsible, or focused over several years. Someone experiencing a progressed Venus trine natal Moon may gradually become emotionally softer, more relationally open, or more emotionally fulfilled. A progressed Mars square natal Pluto may coincide with a long period of internal pressure, power struggles, emotional intensity, or personal transformation that ultimately reshapes confidence and inner strength. Progressed aspects often describe chapters of internal evolution rather than quick isolated incidents. And because progressions move slowly, these phases often become some of the most meaningful long-term developmental periods in astrology. Astrologers may also look at aspects forming between progressed planets themselves. For example, progressed Venus conjunct progressed Mars, progressed Sun trine progressed Jupiter, or progressed Mercury square progressed Saturn can describe changing inner dynamics and evolving psychological themes occurring between different parts of the personality. However, many astrologers place greater emphasis on progressed planets aspecting natal planets because natal planets represent the core foundational structure of the birth chart. The natal chart remains the permanent psychological blueprint, while progressions describe how that blueprint gradually evolves over time. Because progressed planets move slowly, astrologers usually use much tighter orbs for progressed aspects than they would for natal aspects or transits. In many cases, 1 degree or even less may be considered strongest. The closer the progressed aspect becomes exact, the more psychologically noticeable the developmental phase often becomes. And because progressions unfold gradually, people may begin feeling the aspect before it becomes exact and continue processing it even after the exact contact separates. This creates longer developmental windows rather than sudden isolated moments. Progressed aspects are some of the most important indicators of inner growth and psychological development in astrology. They reflect the evolving relationships forming between different parts of your personality over time. Some progressed aspects create internal harmony and emotional flow. Others create tension, pressure, frustration, or restructuring that ultimately leads to growth and maturity. But most importantly, progressed aspects often signal readiness rather than immediate external events. They describe the gradual internal evolution happening underneath the surface long before outer circumstances fully catch up. And because of this, progressed aspects often become some of the most meaningful developmental milestones in the entire progressed chart system. In the next video, we'll continue exploring progressed astrology by looking at major life changes and how progressions often coincide with important turning points, identity shifts, emotional transitions, relationship developments, and new chapters of personal growth throughout life. Thank you for watching Celestial Zodiac. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share so you don't miss the next part of this series.